Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Empowered Self podcast with me, Krystal Long. And as always, wherever this finds you today, I invite you to take a small pause, take a breath, and gently arrive into this moment. Today's conversation is a really grounding and thoughtful one, and it's one I'm so glad to be sharing with you. My guest today is Lucy Bourke, and Lucy, whose journey into yoga and meditation comes from a very real and human place. A place of recognizing what it feels like to carry a lot internally, to keep going through life without always having the space to fully process what is happening within. And then slowly finding a way back to yourself. Lucy is a yoga teacher and was first introduced to yoga by her mum when she was younger. But it was later in life that it became something she truly connected with on a deeper level. I'm so delighted to say that Lucy will also be joining us again this Sunday for a Sunday reset ritual where she will guide us through a gentle grounding meditation. So be sure to come back for that beautiful practice. So Lucy, you're very welcome to the Empowered Self podcast. How are you today?
Thank you for that lovely intro, Krystal. Thank you for having me on.
And Lucy, you're very welcome. And to begin, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and the work that you do?
Yeah, so I'm Lucy and I'm a yoga teacher from Cork. I'm currently living in Barcelona. I just moved over like 3 weeks ago. So new start for me over here. And yeah, I guess my kind of interest, as you mentioned, and it started with my mom, I guess. She introduced me to meditation and yoga when I was a little bit younger. And she was always into like holistic kind of approaches to well-being and stuff. Like I'd come home from school and if I had a headache, she'd lie me down and do some Reiki. There was no like paracetamol in the house. She was like, we can just shift this energy now. When I was maybe like 13 or 14, I was going through kind of a difficult time with my mental health, and she suggested that I start trying this yoga class that she was doing. And I went along with her to the yoga class, and I just remember like looking around the room, like at all these people, most of them were like in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and like thinking, how the hell are they doing all these mad poses, and I can't hold this downward dog. And I remember getting really like frustrated, thinking like my mom can do this and I can't do it. And I was like playing camogie and sports and stuff. So I was like a bit competitive in that sense. But my idea of yoga was that it was like a physical practice or like a physical exercise. And I thought like, why not just go to the gym, you know? So it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I really started to realize that yoga was so much more than that physical practice. And like yoga it is like a part of, or like a way that you could go through life, that it's not just movement, it's breath work, it's meditation, kind of your outlook on life as well, how you treat yourself, how you treat others. I was living in London for a while and I loved living there so much. But I found that when I was there, that it was often difficult to connect with how I was really feeling, like my emotions, and I would kind of go through times of feeling more extreme, like lows and extreme highs. And I guess that comes with living in a place that there's, you're constantly stimulated and there's constantly things to do. And my mom got sick, and I found like at that period of time that I would come home to Cork and have these really intense, sad emotions, and also sort of like feelings of resentment maybe towards coming back to my home. And then I come back to my little bubble back in London with my friends, and it was like, this strange setup. And I noticed a pattern that wasn't very healthy for my mental health, and that, I really struggled at that time. And I found a Buddhist center that was really near my house in Bethnal Green in East London. I started going to a guided meditation class there on a Thursday, and my head is pretty loud anyway and often hard to slow down. So I was like, oh, meditation, sounds like it's going to be really difficult. But I knew like I had done a little bit as when I was younger with mom, and I knew she was into it. And I said I'd give it a go. So I started going on Thursdays on my lunch break, and it was just this really lovely little sanctuary in the middle of a really, really busy part of London, had a little waterfall. It was really nice. I just made it a habit to go every Thursday. And I really struggled at the beginning because, again, it's like you're sitting there, you have to deal with kind of what's going on in your head, but you're thinking, oh, I've got a meeting in an hour, I'm meeting friends tonight. There's like so many things going on in your brain. And it was the first time, well, it was maybe a couple of weeks in that I realized, oh, this is a nice way of processing some of the emotions that I'm feeling and trying to like slow down my mind as well. And so I remember like Thursdays were pretty big for going out for drinks after work. And I remember thinking, I actually am way more excited to go to the meditation at lunch than I am to go out that night. And I was like, okay, there's a change here. And like, this is actually really benefiting me. And yeah, so that was something that I loved doing. And it became, I guess, a sort of ritual in my week, that 1 hour. But I thought maybe let's see if we can go try something else, try something a little bit deeper than the 1 hour. And I had decided to move back to Cork. With work, I was luckily able to move back to like a remote contract, which was great. And I took a sabbatical for 7 weeks because I thought it was going to be really hard to go from like London back home, back living with mom and dad. And so I was like, I'll take some time now before I go back, and let's see if I do maybe like a retreat or something. But then I came across the yoga teacher training course through Himalaya out in Goa in India. So I was like, I'll just go. So I went out to Goa, and like it was amazing. It was really, really like transformative for me. And you're just like immersed in a culture where you get a kind of overwhelming sense of like presence. Like people are just really living in the moment there. And it wasn't something I had felt in a while. On the course, there was like, I think the youngest was like 19, right up to like someone in their 70s, which was really cool because you had like all of these different people with different life experiences. And, doing the course, I didn't necessarily want to be a teacher. I just wanted to learn more about yoga, like the yoga philosophy, the meditation, the pranayama, which is the breath work. Like yoga is sort of like, it's not just the physical movement, it's all of these aspects. And learning about that on a deeper level was so interesting. And you have like the Ayurveda, which is like their holistic medicine, sort of like Chinese medicine. And that is super interesting as well. And yeah, it was really great. And as I said, like transformative because I had a lot of like nice one-on-one moments with people who were doing the course. Again, with the different life experiences. In particular, there was one lady and she was like in her like late 50s, and she was going through something similar with her mom. And she sat down with me one evening for dinner, and she was like, um, what you're doing now for yourself is really great because you're quite young and you're starting your toolbox. And I remember thinking this is a really nice analogy of how to think about what yoga is. It's like, you've got this toolbox, and you're going to carry this with you through life. And when times get tough and with different things that come in life, like life is always throwing stuff at you. It's nice to have something that's a constant that you can kind of fall back on to help you. And for me, that's like what yoga is. And it's something I like to try and do every day if I can, self-practice. So whether that's moving, whether that's just sitting down and trying to do some breath work for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever time I have, I like to do something in the morning. It might be meditation, it might be journaling, whatever it is, because it sets me up to be, I think, anyway, you have to ask my friends and family, but I think it helps me be a better person. And then therefore I can help people a little bit better. I can be a better person for my mom, for my dad, for my family. And and yeah, that's why I love now being a yoga teacher, because I get so much from seeing people get something out of their practice.
Lucy, you describe yoga as something much bigger than movement. We all think yoga is just poses and different bits of exercise, but what does yoga mean to you now?
So when I think of yoga, it's sort of it means a lot. And when people ask, I think it's really a way of life. It's a nice way um to go about your day. It's not about being flexible. It's not about being able to do a headstand or anything like that. I think the practice when you do a yoga class, it's great because the increased flexibility or the increased strength, they're all just side effects. But it's not the aim. The aim is just to really try and connect with yourself, trying to connect the body and the mind and to just slow down. And for me, the practice also can help kind of connect to your feelings and your emotions on a deeper level. Something I like to do is like hip opening yoga, for example. That's really great because a lot of us store emotions in our hips. And I think I had a class recently and a really lovely lady came up afterwards. I always like to hold a little bit of a space afterwards for people who might want to come up and talk to me about how they felt about the practice, or, if it was good or if it was bad. Um, and sharing something that was going on in her life at that time. And she just said that she really wasn't able to cry, but she felt that she really needed to cry. And after the practice that I had held the space for, she had a little cry, and she said that that's what she really needed. Um, and other times I have people and they're like, "Oh, today was so stressful in work," and you can feel the like pent up anger, the like almost aggression, and then after the class to see that kind of transformation, and they're like feeling a little bit more relaxed, feeling a little bit more zen. And I also think it's one of those things, like sometimes I'll go to a yoga class and I'll feel so frustrated because today I can't do X, Y, Z. And then I remember, okay, that's not what it's about. You've just taken an hour for yourself. And no matter what after the class, like it's a win because you've just taken some time to focus on your breath and try and connect back with your mind.
So, Lucy, I get the sense that your approach to your teaching style feels very grounded, gentle, and human. Why is that kind of approach important to you?
I think the world we live in right now is it can be very scary place. And, there's really strong feelings of anger and frustration in so many different parts of life. And I think a lot of that is out of our control as individuals. But when it comes to the day-to-day things that you do have control of, I think a grounding practice, like a slow restorative class, or like a yin yoga class, or a grounding meditation, where um, there's a pranayama technique called Nadi Shodhana, which is really beautiful. And I like to do that when I wake up on the wrong side of the bed. When I wake up angry at everyone in the world, I try and do like 10 rounds of Nadi Shodhana. And so, that grounding practice that I think is really important, especially like in the world we live in today, because centering ourselves and grounding ourselves is the first kind of step when we do want to control our own minds and control our emotions. I just think grounding as a concept in general is great. Like I love just anytime I can not wear my shoes, I'm all about it. No shoes, no socks. So that's definitely why I like to base a lot of my yoga around that kind of style.
And as you say as well, a lot of people carry a lot of emotion in today's day and age. People are feeling overwhelmed, they're disconnected, and they could be carrying a lot internally. I know you're going to do a simple practice on Sunday for the Sunday reset rituals, but for someone that's kind of new to yoga, meditation, and grounding, is there a simple practice or reminder that helps people to begin coming back to themselves without actually going into the practice?
Yeah, I guess, the idea of kind of implementing like ritual into your day I think is really important. And that was something that was huge when we were doing the teacher training, was like how our morning routine kind of set us up for the day. And I think that's regardless of if you're like a morning person or not.
Mhm.
Having it doesn't have to be you know, a physical yoga practice. It doesn't have to be breath work, meditation, journaling. It can be just maybe getting into nature for 5 minutes. I know that's hard at home when the weather isn't. So yeah, I guess just taking 10 or 15 minutes for yourself. And as an introduction to yoga, something like sitting on the floor and just like really feeling the connection between yourself, your body and the floor, and just maybe closing down your eyes and starting to notice how your body feels or how your breath feels. That's a nice thing to do in the mornings. Just having quick little body scan, checking in with your breath. And you might wake up and say, oh, you're feeling loads of tension in the shoulders and the back, and just noticing that. It's just a way of almost like taking a few seconds or a few minutes for yourself. It can be, I think, really great to start your day that way. Uh, And yeah, it's really not.
So, Lucy, you were just saying that we could start small in little rituals that will help us to kind of get started in breathwork, meditation, and yoga. And it doesn't have to be heavy things that we just jump right into. I know you'll be joining me again this Sunday for a Sunday Reset Ritual episode where you'll guide listeners through a grounding meditation. What can people expect from that practice you're going to share on Sunday?
So yeah, it's going to be a grounding guided meditation. It's a nice introduction to meditation. And yeah, so it'll be a nice one to maybe do in the evenings before you go to bed. And we'll start with just like a gentle kind of body scan and just kind of relax the body and just noticing how the body feels. And then it'll just kind of follow the theme of grounding and relaxing. And yeah, hopefully you'll enjoy it.
And why do you feel grounding practices are so important, especially now, as we said earlier, in the world that we currently live in now?
Yeah, so as I kind of mentioned earlier, I think a lot of the things that are going on in the world, the really awful things that we feel so much frustration and anger towards, and also just on a smaller scale, within our own lives, can all feel quite heavy. These emotions are a lot up here in the head. And so when you feel that kind of disconnect, I think it's important to come back to your own body. And a nice way of doing that is by doing different grounding techniques, by trying to really feel more centered within ourselves. A nice like affirmation that I share if I am, let's say, doing a grounding yoga themed class, and is that it's the idea of I am safe, I am grounded, and to kind of repeat that you're safe within in your own body, within your own mind. And it's also nice I like to bring in the chakras as well sometimes. So you have the Muladhara chakra, which is the root chakra, at the base of your spine. And visually, it's the color, it's associated with the color. And I do like bringing like visualizations into meditation as well, because I think it can be a nice way of getting into meditation, especially if you're new to meditation, visualizing things, and visualizing that we have a center within ourselves that can actually control the feeling of feeling grounded, feeling connected, feeling rooted, and feeling safe. So, yeah, I think when there's so many things that are out of your control, it's nice to remind yourself that you can come home to your own body and to your own mind.
And Lucy, that is something to look forward to on Sunday, and I can't wait for that practice and feeling a bit more grounded as well. And if listeners could take just one thing away from this conversation today, what would you hope it be?
I would hope that you would give yoga a go, because yoga is really for everyone. And that's what I always say, whether it's trying to just take 10 minutes to do some breath work or do a meditation, etc. Just give it a go, because you'll find something that will click, and be open to it. Because once see how transformative it can be. And it's just a lovely way of, it's just a nice thing to adapt into your life. So give it a go. Try maybe even like an online class. There's plenty of great yoga teachers in Cork, and if you want to go for an in-person class. But it's also nice to have like the facilities now that you can do an online class. So you might feel more comfortable to do it in the comfort of your home, perhaps. Or yeah, I think just go for it. Give it a go. It's not about flexibility. It's not about anything like that. Just it's great. It's a lovely thing to get into. So yeah, I would say give yoga a go.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear you say that there are a lot of myths around yoga, that you have to be flexible, that you have to be a certain age, or that some people might feel nervous going into a yoga class, that they can also have the option of doing it online, and
Absolutely.
it can work around their time as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I have, because I've recently been teaching online since moving over here to Spain. And one of the students that I have, and we do one-on-one classes, they're really into golf, and they're a little bit older. And again, the sort of idea of that yoga is for a certain demographic of people, or, you have to be super flexible or whatever. And they're after transforming their golf practice, which is great. And just from very, very simple, small movements. And like another friend of mine who's really into running, does like marathons. And I suggested, let's do like a plan for you for the next marathon. And let's see if this will help, because, there's a lot of other things that come with these sports. And it's nice to have a little bit of an outlet where you can come back to the mind, but you're still building the strength. Which is good. There's lots and lots of different yoga out there to try. Yeah, I mean, if anyone is intrigued at all, I'm more than happy to hop on a call with anyone just for a chat, talk about yoga.
And thank you so much, Lucy, for sharing your story, your insights, and your approach so openly today. There's so much in this conversation about slowing down, reconnecting, and learning how to be with ourselves in a more honest and compassionate way. And for anyone listening, Lucy will be back with me again on Sunday Reset Rituals, where she'll be guiding a gentle grounding meditation to support you in finding a little more steadiness and calm with yourself. And if anyone wants to reach out and connect with Lucy directly, I can leave Lucy's details in the show notes, if that's okay with you, Lucy. Do join us back here again on Sunday. And Lucy, thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to try out your practice on Sunday, which no doubt will allow us to feel a bit more grounded, a little more calm and ready for the week ahead. And as we've been putting together a wellness toolbox as well on the Sunday Reset Rituals, no doubt Lucy's practice can add to your toolbox as well on Sunday. And we do love the type of toolboxes that keep us well, keep us grounded, and keep us centered.
Even when the tools fall out, it's just knowing that they're out there, you can put them back in, Yeah. So thank you so much, Krystal. It was lovely to be on, and I'm looking forward to the meditation on Sunday. It'll be really nice.
Okay. See you then, and tune in then on Sunday. Thanks a million, Lucy. Take care, everyone.